Hi guys, thanks for joining me today. I'm Marilyn and my channel is Making with Marilyn. Now on today's video, all I'm going to do is refill my sublimation ink in my Epson Ecotank 15,000. Now the Epson Ecotank 15,000 was not developed to be a sublimation printer. So what I did is when I bought it, instead of putting the ink that came with it into the ink tanks, I used Hiipoo ink instead. I have a color that's getting pretty low, so I want to go ahead and refill those tanks. The first time I did that, I really didn't know what I was doing, so I'm just going to show you how I do this. It'll only take a few minutes, but just in case you have a sublimation printer and you're not sure how to refill them or even how to put it in the first time, hopefully this video helps you. Now later, I'm going to make some sublimation tumblers, so if you haven't subscribed and you're interested in that type of thing, make sure you subscribe and then tap that bell and select the all notification. That way YouTube lets you know anytime I upload new content. Now this is my Epson Ecotank 15,000. I really love it because it does wide format printing in addition to just regular size printing. You can print up to the size of paper that's 13 inches wide and 19 inches long. Now one thing that's nice about this is it tells you the production date, as well as when it expires. So I'll keep any ink that doesn't fit in the tanks in the box, and that way when I replace it next time, I'll know if it's expired or not. So here's what it looks like when you open the box. Now they have other sets that include 2 black inks, and then you can also just buy black ink. My black is what's running out the fastest. So it's a good idea to either get a separate black ink or buy the set that has 2 black inks in it. Now we're actually going to start with the black ink because I like to go in the order that they are in the ink tanks. So black, cyan, which is blue, magenta, which is a pinkish red, and then yellow. And I'll give you a better shot of that when we actually fill the tanks. Now Hiipoo has different types of bottles. This bottle has a top that will fit directly into the Ecotank's tanks. The other one, you have to actually pull it out and then use a syringe to put it in the tanks. It is more expensive to buy it this way, but it is so much more convenient. Once you have a set of bottles like this, if you want to buy the less expensive bottles, you can always transfer that ink into your empty bottles like this. But you see the tip there? That's going to fit right over the mouth of those tanks. Now I want to go ahead and put a glove on. This can be a little bit messy. And then I want to see if there's anything like a seal that I'm going to have to cut loose. Okay, so on this one there's not. I actually like that because cutting that seal off is what was the messiest part. Now let's go ahead and look at the screen first. Hopefully you can see that. Whether you have touchscreen or you have buttons on the Ecotanks, it's going to work basically the same way. So I'm going to go over and find maintenance, and here it is. And then I'm going to scroll down through these until I see fill ink. All right, here it is. So I'm going to click on that. It tells you 2 basic things. When you're filling these, don't squeeze the bottle and make sure you have the right color going into the right tank. So I'm going to say proceed. Now it's telling me to fill the ink to the upper line. So I'll say next. And now it wants me to select the colors that I'm going to be refilling. Now today I don't need any new blue ink, so I'm going to skip that one. I have the black, the red, and the yellow mark, so I'll say proceed. Now it's asking me, is the ink filled up to the upper line? So now it's time for me to go ahead and put the ink in. Now the first thing I need to do is go ahead and lift this cover. Now when you do that, a little plastic blue piece on the other side needs to be locked into place so this will stay up. Then you're just going to flip this back and I'm going to open the black tank. Now this is the scariest part, is make sure you are putting the correct color in the tank you're putting it in. So here's my black. And this literally just fits down on an opening in the tank, and it's not going to go out unless you squeeze it or pop it down into place. Now I need to watch this ink level. And when it gets up to this top line, I need to pull this out. I'll pull it out just a little bit early so I don't accidentally overfill. And then look, I pull it up and it seals again. And that's because of this tip. Now let's close this. And remember, I was skipping over the blue, so let's go to the magenta. Now before I take the lid off, I do give it just a little shake. I don't want to introduce a bunch of air bubbles, but I shake it up just a little bit. Let's make sure there's no seal on this one. Now we're done with that. So we'll just close this back up, lift up on this top part, and that blue thing just disengages, and close this very gently. Now I pretty much filled those up all the way, but let me show you if you don't. Let's say you've run out of ink and you're only 3/4 full. Let's just say no, they're not full to the top line. Then it wants me to set the ink levels. So I'll say proceed. It's just giving me some basic instructions. If I want to read about it, I say how to. I'm going to click proceed, and then it just tells me set it to where the ink level really is. So I'll say okay. There's a BK up here, so I'm going to set the black ink level. I'm going to push the plus sign. And actually, mine really isn't quite all the way to the top. So I'm going to leave it like that, and I'll say proceed. Now remember, I skipped the blue, and it knows that. It's asking me for the magenta level. And that's about where it is. And now the yellow level. And it's the one I got the fullest. And now it's just telling me they've been set, and I say, okay. And that's it. It's just that easy. Follow the instructions on here and you will be fine. And again, I highly prefer using the bottles with this tip. They are meant specifically for Epson Ecotanks. Now I've been super thrilled with the results I get with this Hiipoo ink. If you're interested in it, I'll leave a link in the video description. Thanks so much for joining me, and until my next one, bye-bye.